think he's the only, yeah, a bit of an older esport organization, but I think, yeah, they're branching out a little bit, and he's their first player in the StarCraft team. But regardless, we are going to be kicking off our series here on Inside and Out, where the bottom left-hand corner map, starting all the way in that bottom left-hand corner, we have our blue Zerg player coming out from the land of Russia. He is going to be representing Good Game Gaming. GGG. He is Rattata.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Inside and Out, we have the German Protoss player representing Team K10. It is ForJumy.
K10 GG.
Yeah, you were talking about it, but K10, they are just dipping their toes into StarCraft. ForJumy is their one and only player, but there are sometimes advantages to that. It means that the team can focus on supporting you and only you, and yeah, I'm sure ForJumy is quite happy with his new team.
Yeah. I imagine so.
And with that, he can once again focus on StarCraft, on the game that he knows and loves.
Yeah. He doesn't have, I don't really know what K10 does usually. Doesn't have, like, I don't know.
The Fortnite.
League of Legends people coming in.
It's FPSs.
FPSs.
Yeah.
Counter-Strike.
Valorant.
Lawrence.
Oh, God.
I still don't know how to pronounce it or how it's supposed to be pronounced, but I'm just gonna keep calling it Valorant.
It's fine. Look, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah, we'll see how he does here. So far, the openers are looking quite interesting. ForJumy actually threw down his second pylon as a part of the wall, so being very safe here. It means that he can't quite hide his tech. It also means in case there was like a Bane bust or hyper aggression, he will have a second pylon to keep everything powered.
And I can't say I blame ForJumy for trying to play this out a little bit more cautious. You know, Rattata in the past has been known for being a very aggressive player, at least when it comes to the openings.
Yeah, I have to imagine that this pylon placement for ForJumy is very very reliant upon his opponents, upon Rattata. You know, just because he's known for his aggression, he just wants to be safe just in case. He doesn't want to get done dirty early on. And from here, we're going into a pretty standard Stargate opener.
Yeah, not testing new things just yet. Well, I say that, but we'll see how many oracles he commits to.
You're like, is he going to pull a mana? Is he going to make 10 oracles? I hope not. But yeah, for the time being, it's kind of what we expect. Oracle first. We have a couple of adepts on the ground as well to apply some pressure or to just expand and take a third base. And it looks like that's exactly what ForJumy is doing.
Yeah, he just wants to play this out a little safer. Again, he knows who he's up against.
Yeah, we do have
he's just taking whatever precaution he needs to.
Oh, we do have a lot of links. I love the pylon block there to save the probe. Very slight adjustment, very cheeky, but very smooth.
It really was. And even the placement here of the pylon on the high ground does mean that he's able to, throw down that. Okay, I'm liking the SimCity a lot more now. ForJumy.
Meanwhile, the Oracle comes across the map. Ooh, takes a lot of hits though. Thankfully for this Oracle, there was no Queen at the third base. Otherwise, it would be dead. It barely escapes with 7 HP.
Oh, he's gonna have to be a lot more careful when it comes to that Oracle in particular. But now second Oracle is coming in to meet it. Can rely on the other Oracle to take some shots instead.
Oh, we do have that one shot.
For a quick little pause. That was a very quick pause. It's the admin to be told to keep playing.
I think this may be just because maybe like a caster or an observer was kind of left out of the game or something, and maybe they were trying to get someone else in. But regardless, we are going to be continuing here. Of course, this is a bit of a replay cast. This was played out 24 hours ago.
Yeah, it was. Apparently, this is yeah. I was wondering why we suddenly had Game Heart. Apparently, this is not in the new patch yet.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the mod. It's the mod patch, of course.
What?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Oh, that's why they paused.
That's why they paused. Yeah.
Oh,
That's why we have Game Heart.
yeah. So there's gonna be some issues here and there, some teething issues when it comes to players actually knowing how to activate the mod. So that's pretty important to know. Okay, so this is the old patch.
Yeah. We suddenly see disruptors, and you know, the radius is a little bit bigger. It's
True.
not because we went mad. Well, I mean, it doesn't disprove the madness theory, but you know.
You know what's gonna happen? We're gonna see the Archons get stuck in the main. That's what we're gonna see.
We are. I'm gonna see ghosts researching enhanced shockwaves. Be like, what?
Aye. Well, again, for the time being, it looks like one Oracle, the low health Oracle, did end up going down. We do have the other two trying to slip on in and trying to find some damage here and there. For the time being, not too much. Rattata has been able to keep his Mirror Lines relatively safe.
Yeah, hasn't really been taking too much drone damage. I mean, he is slightly ahead on workers, which is not necessarily ideal, but it's not bad either.
Yeah, not bad at all. The Oracles are doing a decent job of just clearing up whatever creep they can as well. At least two of them have survived. And back at home, ForJumy is setting up for a massive ground push here. He did open up with a Twilight Council, but the Twilight Council, or he did follow up with a Twilight Council, but it wasn't for any major upgrades. It was for a faster Templar Archives. It was for a much faster Storm.
And Storm, he has. It's about to finish up right now. Little bit of a pseudo Soul Train that he's been creating right now.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Part of me feels like the fact that he doesn't have charge is maybe not intentional.
I was gonna say, yeah,
because he has a decent amount of gateways behind this. Like, he needs a buffer for his army, and the lack of like, he has resources for charge if he wanted it.
Yeah, either lacking charge is unintentional or zealots are unintentional.
Yeah,
but something slipped up here a little bit for ForJumy.
Yeah. I do think that he just unfortunately forgot about charge. So we'll see if that's going to be impactful in this next fight. We'll see if he even needs charge. After this game, we may have to, you know, add a nerf to the balance patch. I
mean, we probably will. Yeah, we're gonna have to, you know.
As ForJumy's actually, as he expands and takes a fourth base, he's actually immediately going into Skytoss.
Interesting. Yeah, Fleet Beacon being thrown down right now. I imagine we're gonna have a ton more Stargates on the way. This is an interesting way of getting into Skytoss, I have to say, for ForJumy. He should be economically safe enough to do it. I mean, he is finishing up his fourth base. He can always main out the workers over, but yeah, the fact that he's just been so passive so far is intriguing to me.
Ooh, but you know what? The stasis trap on the left-hand side goes off. Half of the army does get trapped, and now ForJumy can respond. Meanwhile, he did recognize that he forgot charge, and there we go. Charge is now on the way. It is late, but no major engagement has happened yet, and it may finish up just in time when he needs it. And because he went for the Fleet Beacon, because he's going for +1 air attack, it looks like he doesn't really intend to push out anyway. It does look like he wants to turtle.
Yeah, so maybe charge wasn't that necessary here.
Oh boy, and this is going to be a little bit worrisome for Rattata, because now Rattata is on a timer. He has to try and deal some damage before it's too late. He dives on top of the High Templar, but the shield battery keeps it alive.
Yeah, remember, this is the old shield battery where it's 200% efficiency instead of 150 when it's overcharged.
Yeah, it really is. The Lings are coming in from the left-hand side as well to try to find some damage, but again, ForJumy, his defense is solid on both sides, and now the carrier production has commenced. And I really worry for Rattata because he has a hive, he's going into lurkers right now. He did scout the Fleet Beacon, but his anti-air army isn't looking that amazing right now.
Yeah, Hydras can definitely work if the carriers are in low enough numbers, but even then, he's still gonna have to deal with all these Archons and all these Storms coming his way, and it's kind of difficult to get on top of carriers with Hydras when you have that much of, when the Protoss player has that many buffers.
Yeah, especially the Storms, right? Like, you can't get anywhere near the carriers if that's the case, if we have enough High Templar. We do see, you know, both players kind of flirting with each other here. Rattata, it makes sense for him to want to deal damage because he's maxed out. He has to get rid of these roaches.
He really does. I think he has recognized what the next stage is for ForJumy here, so he is getting a Spire, but like you said, he needs to get rid of some of his units right now. These Lurkers, okay, they're actually going to help him quite a bit against the Archons and the Charge Lots, but not against much else.
Exactly, and here we go, we're forced to fight. The Storms are going to be blanketing the entire army. Does only tickle the Lurkers and the Roaches, but they're being slowly softened up here for even more Storms.
Yeah, these Lurkers unfortunately are in range of those cannons, so ForJumy was able to attack a couple of them.
He was. You know what the carrier transition is here. We see a bit of a Zealot run by on the right-hand side, going to force a reaction out of Rattata. The carriers are revealing themselves. We have the revelation on the Lurkers.
And they are starting to go down to these carriers. Spire only now is going to finish up. And I think that might be too late. I'm looking at Rattata's resources, and I don't think he can get enough Corruptors to be an effective threat against the carriers right now.
Yeah, his economy isn't where he really needs it to be right now. ForJumy actually has the Lurker advantage, and especially after we spend so much gas into Hydra Lurker, and for it not to pay for itself, it's brutal trying to shift gears and get into Corruptors, into Vipers. It's possible, but Rattata just needs a little bit more time to gather those resources.
Is that a second Spire, or?
Yep.
Wait, what's the... Wait...
Versus in the net.
Okay. I was worried for a sec that he just didn't have a Spire.
You're like, did he cancel? Did something happen? Thankfully, he's getting a second Spire for the double upgrades, which will help. He will slowly be able to get into that and try and catch up with the quality of his Corruptors. His ground army is sharking around trying to find an angle. But soon, ForJumy is going to max out. And then ForJumy is going to be the one on the offensive.
Yeah, he's sharking around trying to find an angle, but there are no angles in the sky.
Yeah, it's just big, wide, and open. We see Rattata actually ignoring the carriers. He's going for a counterattack.
Which is probably his best bet at this point. I mean, you know, he's not really going to be able to deal with those carriers with Lings, Roaches, and that meager amount of Hydras. This does force ForJumy back. And eventually it will be cleaned up, but we'll see how much damage Rattata can deal before it does get cleaned up.
He gets the Cyber Core. He does not get the carrier in the main base. He just threw away his Hydra and Roach army for a Cyber Core, for depowering a Stargate, and that's kind of it.
He killed the Forge, I guess.
Yeah, no, he killed the Forges. He killed the Forges. That's true.
Yeah? He delays shield upgrades for a little bit.
He does.
Meanwhile, everything else is 2-2.
Exactly, and Rattata, he plummeted. He lost 60 supply in that little stunt, and now he's trying desperately to rebuild. But we were talking about it, he needs a little bit more time. Nice yoinks on these carriers. He's going to be able to pick off a couple of them, but the Lurkers are left to their own devices.
Yeah, this is a pretty good defensive position. I think Rattata did the best he could to defend at this third-base location, but he just doesn't have the numbers on his side.
Yeah, the base gets broken. It's going to be going down. 13 drones full as well. The top left-hand base is left completely exposed, so ForJumy can rotate over in that direction, and Rattata can barely hold on. Again, he's got 1-0 Corruptors. He's still in the middle of making Hydras as well because he needs anti-ground as well. He's just in a really rough place.
1-0? Oh, the upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1-0.
Yeah.
It's not something you say too often, but yeah, it is the case.
So are you trying to say he has 10 Corruptors?
God damn it, Yaku. His upgrades, Yaku, his upgrades, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just see a bit of a counterattack here, going to be forcing ForJumy back home. He loses 13 probes as well, so at least Rattata is doing some economic damage. We can see the worker counts being tied up here. Rattata just lost 2 hatcheries. Like, he's desperately trying to claw his way back in and desperately trying to remax.
Yeah, the incomes are now relatively even at this point, but that's not really going to be the decisive factor here. Rattata knows that he's going to lose units, and eventually he's going to run out of resources replacing them. ForJumy, on the other hand, I mean, he can just trade so efficiently with how effective his army is.
Oh yeah, the bottom right hand base goes down as well. We see a yoink for a carrier and a carrier. We need a second yoink as well to finish it off. We have a massive Ling run by on the right hand side, and that's going to be able to deal a lot of damage. But what about the main army?
Man, battery overcharge when it's at 200% efficiency. That's pretty dang good. GG is called, and ForJumy will be taking game number 1 on the current patch / previous patch. Non-test patch, I should say.
There you go, the non-test patch, the regular game.
There we go.
GG, ForJumy does take that first game, but we did see at the start of the game they paused and they were contacted by the admins, so I imagine the second game should be on the mod.
Well, that's the thing I'm really curious about, whether or not it is going to be on the mod, because there are 2 ways of looking at it, right? One of them is, okay, well, we're supposed to play on the test mod, but if you made a mistake on one game, then just don't do it again. Make sure every other game you play from here on out isn't test mod, because that's part of the objective of this set of rules in particular. But then the other argument to be made is it fair to switch patches mid-series?
Yeah, I mean, we're about to find out. You know, as soon as we see if we have WCS Game Heart, if we have to count drones, for example, then we will know. But yeah, I imagine they're gonna be forced to switch to the mod, but we'll see. It would have been.
I would prefer it that way as well.
Same.
Personally, but I can understand. I can understand the reasoning if, you know, since they already played in one patch, they have to keep going until the next series.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what comes to fruition here, as we're going to be getting into game number 2 for ForJumy, having a bit of a surprising lead here.
Whoa!
Yeah?
Actually, no, that's fair. Yeah, Rattata, previously known as Vanya.
Look, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but I'm sure if Berserker Esports knew that ForJumy would be taking a game of Rattata, they wouldn't have let him go. But anyway,
shaking my head. Berserkers.
Shots are being fired.
CranKy Ducklings have been kicked out of Berserker Team League. Anyway, we are going to be continuing our best of 3 series now, and it looks like we are in the test patch, so yeah, thankfully. We're going to be continuing our series now on Tropical Sacrifice. We're in the top right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in that top right-hand corner. We have our red Protoss player coming out from the land of Germania. He is, of course, going to be representing K10GG. He is ForJumy.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Tropical Sacrifice, we have his opponent. We have his opponent representing Good Game Gaming. GGG. It is Rattata.
Yeah, and the thing about ForJumy, I felt for a while, is that, or I guess kind of the reason why I thought it was surprising that you thought it was surprising that ForJumy took a game off Rattata here, was that he is a player who I think shows a lot of flashes of brilliance, but, you know, looking back at his career and his results, may not necessarily be the most consistent player. So I guess that's why it can definitely be a little bit surprising for somebody like ForJumy to take a map off of somebody like Rattata. But I will say, when he is in the middle of those flashes of brilliance, you know, when he is in form, he is in full form.
Yeah, I think it was in the most recent OSC King of the Hill. I think ForJumy was like the player to have the longest win streak. And that was pretty surprising to see him go in a bit of a tear and just take some names. It doesn't happen too often. Like when I think of ForJumy, I think of Young Yakov, I think of Cuckoo, maybe Baby Marine, you know, these very young, very strong players, but again, like they're still like in the middle of the pack in Europe. You know, Europe is a pretty hard scene to make a name for yourself, to be fair, because there are so many good players,
especially as a Protoss player.
especially because there are so many Protosses. But yeah, ForJumy for me is more of an up and comer, and he's still kind of making a name for himself. Even though Rattata may be young as well, I feel like Rattata has been, or you know, back when he was Vanya, he's been at the upper echelons of play a little bit longer. There's a reason why he got scouted and picked up by a Chinese team, by Good Game Gaming. It doesn't happen too often. They don't pick up foreigners too often.
Yeah. And once, funnily enough, I think once Rattata got picked up by GGG, that started a trend for the other Chinese teams to pick up EU players. KaiZ opened the floodgates after that, you know?
Definitely. I mean, they got to see that there is definitely quality in the European region. But I would also say that Rattata has been a little bit more quiet recently. He hasn't had as much success, I feel, as he did when he was going by a different alias. But we'll see. I
wonder why.
I wonder why. But we'll see if he's able to turn this series around here. I think most people would expect him to be the favorite against a player like ForJumy. But that first game was a little bit rough.
Yeah, to say the least. But we are on a very different... that was a very... Oh, wow. Surprised Rattata was able to slip one Ling in.
Yeah, the Lings get cleaned up, though, and unfortunately, there just aren't enough Lings to really punish the third base, so ForJumy is going to be able to get away with his opener. Once again, Stargate opener into Double Oracle just to take a faster third base, and there was potential there to maybe punish this third, but Rattata lost a lot of Lings there for not much.
Yeah, he wasn't even able to get the full scout off. That Ling did get aggroed, unfortunately, into the Adept before it can complete a scout into the main base. But I think by now Rattata should realize, yep, there's probably a Stargate going to be coming my way. There's probably going to be, something pretty similar, which is going to be interesting to see unfold here on Tropical Sacrifice. Again, I feel like game number one was very passive from the side of ForJumy, and you know, Rattata did try to break him a couple of times, but then also realized that you know, he couldn't unless he significantly teched up, and that was inside and out is considered to be a pretty balanced map. You know, it's a map where you can go either way. Tropical Sacrifice, it's much more of a defensive map, so. We'll see if our players double down on the passivity.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're laying down, and that is that if ForJumy wants to go for that same style, he's going to have a little bit more success here on Tropical Sacrifice. Before that happens, though, we do see some Oracles and Adepts slipping in towards the natural base. It looks like they will be defended against. Rattata not losing too many workers here, so far so good. But last game, I do think that Rattata was quite stubborn. We pointed out when Rattata scouted the Fleet Beacon, and he refused to throw down a Spire. He did not want to. It took him a long time to start transitioning into Corruptor, so clearly he wants the game to end sooner rather than later. And we'll see how that goes. Oh my god, he's skipping the Hydras entirely.
I think I like this a lot better this time. But, again, it depends on when Rattata hits, if he even hits. I would be very worried if Rattata thinks that he's going to be blind countering another very quick transition to carriers, because for now, ForJumy's getting Templar Archives, he's going to get a couple of Archons out. If Rattata wanted to go for Mutalisk, it's going to be tough for him to find an opening to get into these mineral lines, I think.
It will. To be fair, because ForJumy is going for charge instead of blink, he won't have the easiest time keeping up with Mutas. He won't have the most mobile anti-air available. He will have Archons, so in a head-on engagement, I will favor the Archons, but there is potential here for Mutas. So Rattata, I don't dislike what he's doing. We'll just see how he kind of utilizes the tools that he has at his disposal. He's still working on Roaches and Lings. He's setting up for a bit of a Ling counterattack as well. Ooh, but the Oracles are slipping in, and are they going to get eyes on the Spire?
Oh, we see one reveal, and yep, now they get a full-on scout. Ooh. That is a very, very quick Spire coming down. He should know that Mutalisks are on the way. Immediately, he starts Phoenix production. Ooh. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's a little bit brutal. This was a very crucial scout here for ForJumy. He knows exactly what's coming his way, and he's getting ready to deal with this. I wouldn't be surprised if he even starts Blink behind this. We only have a single Stargate producing Phoenixes, though, so he's not going to have that many for the first wave of Mutas.
Yeah, but to be fair, Rattata's not going to have too many Mutas in the first wave either. 2 Archons, if Rattata isn't careful, he will absolutely lose every single Mutalisk here. Let's not forget, Archons aren't so thick anymore. We are in the test patch.
True. They do suck it in when they need to, and already the cannons and shield batteries were thrown down, so the mineral ions are safe. The Mutas do absolutely nothing, and Rattata is getting ready for another massive push. What's important is that ForJumy, he's going for a much later 4th, or he's staying on 3 bases a lot longer here, so he's not spreading himself thin. He's working on his army. He's got plenty of stasis traps on the field, on the ground. Rattata, he has to be careful not to overcommit.
He really does. Again, it's a much more defensive map. Containing ForJumy on 3 bases is already a pretty good start here for Rattata, but he needs to make sure he doesn't overextend and lose his entire army.
And there we go. I love the respect that he's showing. He's going to back off. Rattata's actually getting into Corruptors very early on. I don't know if he necessarily recognizes that ForJumy is going to transition. So far, he isn't. We have +1 air attack on the way, but that's it. I worry that we're going to have too many Corruptors, though. I feel like we need more, anti-ground than anti-air.
Yeah, there's definitely a logic between getting a couple of Corruptors to deal with a couple of Phoenixes, but like you said, eventually you hit a point of diminishing returns.
We really do. Meanwhile, the Phoenixes are finding a little bit of value here. They do catch a Ravager in the middle of the map. The Corruptors have been revealed as well. Meanwhile, here we go. Rattata's pulling the trigger here at the 4th base. He wants to try and break in. And
he is having a lot of trouble. Storm just finished up, and there were already a couple of High Templar with some storms in the chamber.
Exactly, Rattata's forced all the way back. We do see his Corruptors and Mutas on the right-hand side trying to find some damage here. Maybe Caustic spray some of these buildings, but here we go. In come the Phoenixes.
And there are actually enough Phoenixes to act as a bit of a threat here to the Corruptors.
Yeah, especially with the support of the cannons and the shield batteries. So Rattata has to respect this. He's backing off. And now ForJumy's transitioning. We have a second Stargate. We have a fleet beacon. We can start carrier production, but no, he's going for mass Phoenixes.
May as well, I suppose. If ForJumy wants to play a bit more in the defensive for the time being, buy himself more time before he can really saturate that 4th base, before he can really commit to a full Golden Armada transition, then getting a couple more Phoenixes here is a bit more cost efficient, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit shocked. He's getting Anion Pulse Crystals. I thought he was going to go into Flux Veins, into Mass Void Ray, because Void Rays have such a great time against Corruptors and also anything on the ground. Phoenixes are a little bit more specialized, but I guess he just wants to make use of the Phoenixes that he already has.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. He has a lot of them, and he has now finally stopped Phoenix production.
Yeah, he has stopped that production. Carriers are now on the way. Anion Pulse Crystals just finished up, which is that extra range on these Phoenixes, so they will have a very easy time microing against the Mutas and maybe even the Corruptors as well. They actually catch the army here, picking up a couple of these Banelings.
Yeah, not a bad use of your Phoenixes here. Taking out an Overseer, which is pretty good. Taking out another Overseer, which is pretty good. Okay, yeah. Not quite.
They picked up a Queen as well.
Mm-hmm. It's like the Overseers of the ground, as some people call them. Little bit of skirmish in the skies right now. I appreciate this one Oracle just trying to throw down a Stasis Ward in the middle of it all.
Yeah.
Finally, the Phoenix count goes down.
The power bomb was insane. There are a lot of those Phoenixes do end up falling from the sky. And Rattata's having a much easier time transitioning into an answer or into a late game army. He's got +2 air attack on the way. His corruptor count is looking okay as well. We have 15 corruptors, and the name of the game here for Rattata is to deny the 5th.
And deny it he is for the time being. He forces a cancel on that 5th base. It's already a really good start.
Yeah,
Ultras are coming out.
We do have an Ultra Cavern here available for Rattata as well. Interesting choice. ForJumy, though, he's finally maxed out. He wants to push out across the map. He wants to flex his beefy army. Zealots are going for a bit of a run by on the right-hand side. Sorry, on the southern side of the map. We actually don't have too many carriers here. It's mainly Immortals and mainly Archons.
I question the Ultra Cavern now.
Yeah, I do as well. Ultras are really not what we need right now. We don't need Corruptors either. We only have 2 carriers.
It was a fake out, and a fake out that ForJumy is winning. Vipers are now completely out of energy. These Corruptors are now completely dead supply. The Archons and the Immortals are just taking out everything on the ground before the Zorg army can really connect on them.
Mate, you called it really early on when you saw the Spire. You're like, is Rattata blind countering something that isn't even going to show up? And it's not Skytoss, it's just a ground army.
Yeah.
We have nothing that shoots down. We have 12 Broodlords on the way. To be fair, like, these Broodlords may be enough to hold on, but how long is it going to take for them to morph in?
Yeah, and what position will they be in as well? Because, yep, now ForJumy has Blink. And there's not that much dead air, I think, for Rattata to really take advantage of here.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the 12 Broodlords are pushing on in. It looks like the natural base is going to be safe. He's going to be able to force ForJumy back.
Do you see how quick these Broodlords move now?
Yo, they be speedy, boys. Oh my god, I had forgotten that the Broodlords did get a speed buff as well. But, oh, we still have some storms. We still have a little bit of anti-air. We have that one Phoenix going ham.
And nothing shoots up right now for Rattata. Yeah, that one Phoenix and that one carrier. Eventually, they're going to take out all of the Broodlords. He doesn't even need to, because GG is called ForJumy. I was trying to make a Pokemon pun, but I can't really think of many. It will take that series 2-0, showing that his shorts are comfy, question mark. GG, top percentage of ForJumy. There we go. His Rattata was not that. Well, whatever.
You're like, I don't know, Pokemon. I don't know what I'm saying. GG, well played. Congratulations, ForJumy takes the 2-0. I see some people asking in the chat. Yes, this was on the new patch. And again, here in game number 2, I appreciate what Rattata was doing. He was getting into very fast upgrades for his Corruptors. He was investing in them very early on, going into Vipers as well. But as we saw, as you were talking about, it looked like he was getting ready for Skytoss when he didn't really have confirmation of what the army actually was. Which we saw at the end was mainly Archons, Immortals, High Templar, Stalkers, you know? And this is where something like Lurkers would have had success. You know, something like going into that earlier Hydra Lurker army like he tried to do in game number 1 would have been able to defend and buy some time. Trying to rush into Broodlords like this, well, the Broodlords were a bit of a reaction, a very late reaction, and we saw that he really just lacked that scouting information.
He really did. He lacked scouting information, he lacked ground defenses. He was definitely just lacking in Tropical Sacrifice.
Oh, wow. GG, well played. Congratulations there to ForJumy. The Broodlords may have been faster, but really they just zoomed their way into their deaths. Feels bad, man.
Yeah.
Oh my.
You know? Yeah, that's a nice little consolation here, I think, about the Broodlords being faster now.
There you go. There you go. Oh my god. But alas, a lot of that, again, did come down to the fact that he wasn't really prepared to face that kind of Protoss army at the time. He didn't have what he needed and was trying to haphazardly piece it all together as quickly as possible. So congratulations to ForJumy, a really solid result to be able to 2-0 Rattata.